The show where there are no penalties, nothing is offside, and everything is fair game. This is The Gloves Are Off.
Hello and welcome to The Gloves Are Off. I'm Moses Woldu. We got tons of topics and questionable co-hosts.
Here we go.
Andrew Brethauer, how are you?
5 seconds in the show and you're already chirping.
New record, man. We're setting records. It's a very special time of year.
Because there's nowhere else where records are being set except for here at this moment.
Absolutely. At
Nowhere
this time
else
of
going
juncture,
on. Yeah.
nowhere else on the planet where you start to see records
whatsoever.
being set or broken.
None.
Well,
Someone's got to do it. It's a tough
well,
job.
We're glad to have you on, Andrew Brethauer, of course, the editor for the Lloydminster Source, and we have one gentleman here. I'm sure that he'll be arresting Andrew in moments time, depending on what happens. I like doing that to you, Andrew. I'm just kidding. Inspector Suki Manj with the Lloydminster RCMP. Glad to have you on. It's been, I believe, almost a year since we last had you on.
That's right. Yeah, I did such a bad job. You kept me, put me in the penalty box, didn't you? I thought there's no penalties here. So.
Well, blame Grant Kersinger.
Well, there you go.
I think maybe he has something to do with it. But we're glad to have both of you guys here.
Thank you.
Glad to get into the topics. And of course, there's nothing more special, I guess, than the Pro Football Hall of Fame. In terms of all the Hall of Fames, you look at the four major sports in North America, it's probably the most iconic. And sure enough, Brett Favre got his moment and his glory, even though when he started his career, didn't think he would get to the Hall of Fame. Sure enough, 20 seasons, and you look what he has accomplished over that time, definitely well-deserved. Of course, his speech was the longest and I guess the most emotional. What would you take out of it? And we'll start with you, Suki, in terms of the speech that Brett Favre gave.
Well, I think he hit all the points that I would like to in my time of retirement. So I know he said he didn't ever think of the Hall of Fame until his dad passed away, and so it was pretty emotional, I think, and I think it was heartfelt. I enjoyed it. So 37 minutes of it.
You gotta love the comments, especially when he was pretty much giving shout outs to everybody, even trainers, his old offensive coordinator and, old defensive coordinator, that sort of thing. And then you look at also what he talked about his offensive line. And there's nothing wrong with slapping somebody in the butt.
But that's right.
So that's what they're going. Andrew, what do you take out of this? And when you look at Brett Favre's career, what kind of stands out the most to you?
How does he not think he was going to get it until his dad passed? He had a pretty established Hall of Fame career up until that point. Even beyond that, he didn't need that. Up to his career, I think, won Super Bowls, all the things he did in Green Bay itself. I don't think he needed that part of his career. He was a Hall of Famer by that point. So that's kind of the odd part about it, I think.
Yeah, but well deserved nevertheless.
Oh, without a question. If you need a first ballot Hall of Famer for an NFL quarterback, I think you're going to be hard pressed to find anyone better than Brett Favre. We talk about Peyton Manning and Brady, they'll be first rounds, but Brett Favre's the top of the list. You start there and you work your way down. Not
only that, but he was certainly a class act. People loved him. Even when you were a competitor and were annoyed at him at sometimes, you couldn't help but smile because of how joyous or excited he was to play the game. It was like a kid in a candy store. Definitely deserving of a Hall of Fame ballot. This next person we're going to talk about might be a little more controversial than that, and I doubt he'd make it to the Hall of Fame, but yet his numbers are substantial enough. That's Alex Rodriguez. Alex Rodriguez has announced that this Friday will be his, I guess, swan song, but then there have been reports that he says, you know what, I could still play. And there are some teams that might offer him a contract. Whether that happens, we'll see. But would you take a chance on him, Andrew?
Nope, not. What situation are you going to take a chance
Put him
on?
as a DH.
He's not hitting that well enough to put him as a DH.
New scenario?
If you're in a playoff run, I don't pick up a guy at the end of his career thinking he's a DH. If he's a good DH, then yeah, I'd pick him up and throw him in. But where do you, maybe as a depth player, but is A-Rod going to be a depth player in your team sitting on the bench that you plug in, when you need a pinch hit every once in a while? And then on a team where it's not in the playoffs, you're just going to throw him and sell tickets? I don't know what scenario you pick up an A-Rod and to throw him in your lineup.
Well, I think if you look at what he's about to accomplish, if he stayed a little bit longer, what is it? 18 hits away from Babe Ruth's record, or
home runs.
Home runs, yeah. And I don't know. I'm kind of nostalgic that way. I'd like to see him break that record. But I'm looking at the teams I like, the Blue Jays. I wouldn't want him on my team. Where would you put him? But
I don't think he'd necessarily fit there.
Yeah, Miami maybe, but I don't know. But last year, wasn't it him who kind of lit it up a bit during the playoffs?
Well, he had a significant year.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
shocking. A lot of people didn't expect it,
Yeah.
considering all this
So
steroid talk.
you never know. A change does people good. So I don't know. Might be that magic thing. And if someone does pick him up and he lights it up, then they're the heroes, right? So
There you go. But he certainly lightened his image as he's gotten older in his career. Maybe the same could be said about Henry Burris, or maybe the exact opposite. The guy is in his 40s now, and certainly is producing, even though he's faced a lot of criticism over the last couple of weeks. And sure enough, he had some comments to say about some certain members on a TSN panel.
There's these guys at TSN who always want to jump on me every week, and it seems like me, here I am out here playing hard, trying to help turn around every team in this league. And for people who are out there, I've turned around 4 teams in this league, and I've helped do it here too. So all the people talking junk out there, you can take that and shove it.
Well, what do you make of that comment? This is a guy who's known as Smiling Hank. Nothing's wrong, no matter how bad the situation is. Now, I think he's showing a little bit of frustration. Warranted, Suki?
well, I haven't followed what was happening with him, but I think that shows me that something's going on behind the scenes, and maybe a little bit of I'm not sure what the comment was that was made about him.
Well, I guess the frustration is that he's had is no matter where he goes or what he does, there seems to be more negativity towards Henry Burris than there are positives. And I think that's where, I don't know if it's gotten to a boiling point, but he had a poor game not too long ago and had a pretty decent game and stood in what he had to do in that second half against Edmonton this past week.
I just think that comes with expectations, right? Like the same thing could be said about Wayne Gretzky towards the end of his career, where he wasn't doing what he is known to do, and the expectations were much higher. But Gretzky never let it out, and I think that's the thing that probably is disappointing to Henry Burris fans. That he kind of let his emotions get away from him, and that happens. And you're in a sport, and you're in the middle of a halftime, and you just come off the field, and you probably had. I sense that he played a pretty good half, and wanted to tell everyone, screw you. And that's probably what he was doing.
He's still there. He's not gone. He hasn't gone anywhere.
The fact that he's doing it during halftime, that's the part I don't understand. During halftime is when you decide to call out TSN panel on their criticism of you. It's like, well, you better back that up in the next half of play. And it just, from a guy from myself, I've had people criticizing the way I've written about them or spoke about them, and you're wondering time and place. It's our job. It's my job to criticize people, in good or bad. And it's TSN's job to criticize people, good or bad. Problem with TSN is they have 9 teams to cover.
Yes.
Well, that means you're going to get talked about more. There's less to talk about, so you talk about more. It's the same thing me and you go through. We have to criticize the people that are here, and we do. Is it everyone favorable in what we say? No. And do we hear about it? Of course we do. But time and place, and he's been around for 17, 18, 19 years. You should probably know that halftime during a game that you need to win is probably not the time to be spouting off to the media and being mad about it.
It comes down, I get both points. One, it's great because you get an awesome soundbite. I love that. And of course, so that's what the media is. It's just, getting things, not necessarily splicing things into different areas, but, you want to see the emotion. That's what sells. And if somebody's criticizing somebody on the program, I think all the better. When you look at the players on the panel, 3 of them are former CFLers, so I'm sure they've gone through it before. With that said, do you feel that Henry Burris was wrong in any way, shape, or form? I don't see him as being wrong.
Well, I do. I think there was no value to that game other than for him. That was for him, not about anything else.
I'm the type of guy who's like, it's your opinion. Yeah. Hey, you're cool with it, but this is why I'm criticizing you.
I'm not sure in a team sport like that. I'm sure his own players probably didn't like that. When we're trying to win a game, I get it. Like in policing, we get criticized. There's no happy people when they deal with us. Someone gets
everyone was happy about
it. Someone gets something stolen from, we recover it, and they might be happy. But so for me as a leader, I have to pick and choose when I'm going to fight back on certain things that are untrue. So if I'm doing it on the little things, and then when the big thing happens, it doesn't mean anything to anybody, right? So you have to, as a quarterback, as a leader, not only on that team, in that league, he's known to be the leader of the league. You should pick and choose a little better when he's going to do that. If this is, the Grey Cup game, and it's at the end of the game, and he's been criticized all year, and he wins that cup for them, hey, fly at her. But
circumstance then.
Yes.
which is
Okay,
funny
good.
because he was playing the Grey Cup, last year,
Yeah.
a year ago, and no one criticizing them. They were praising him for the fact that he got a team that's basically brand new and made it all the way to the Grey Cup in that short amount of time. So warranted, maybe, timing wrong.
We're going to take a commercial break, and with that, and come back with more controversy, this time involving a Russian Paralympic athlete, coming up.